Hi guys, welcome back to the home in Homestead. Today we will be doing some green bell pepper preservation. We will be making bell pepper relish. So what we will do is be taking some green bell peppers from the garden and chopping them up and adding some onions and some spices and making a sweet and sour bell pepper relish that is delicious on sandwiches or inside of salads or pasta salads and things like that. Previously I did some green bell pepper preservation and I made the bell pepper relish, but I did a much smaller or a finer chop. And here's a jar of it here. You can see the smaller pieces of bell pepper. And I also made some stuffed bell peppers for supper. And here I have a package of 3 of them for a freezer meal. So what I did was I made some stuffed bell peppers for supper and I made some extra ones. I have 3 here. I prepped them but did not bake them and placed them in the freezer on a cookie sheet, and once frozen I placed them into the Ziploc bag, and then I labeled it and I cooked them at 375 for about an hour. So now we have 2 other meals in the freezer with those green bell peppers that we had. So now for today we're going to be doing the bell pepper relish again, but with a larger chop, so a coarser chop on the bell peppers. They will be much bigger pieces of onion and bell pepper, and those will be better suited for soups or for pasta salad or for any cold type of salad that I might want to make with them. So follow along and see how we make this sweet and sour bell pepper relish today. Alright, so first we need to prep the peppers and other ingredients. And I can see already that I have quite a large harvest here, so I will probably place some of the smaller peppers aside and do another batch of the freezer meal of stuffed peppers. So let me kind of sort through these a little bit, and then we'll get going this bell pepper relish. We're shooting for about 2 quarts of the diced green bell pepper. So first we'll cut the bell pepper. And we will remove the seeds and the membrane. When I prep my bell peppers, I find it easiest just to cut them in half, and then I pry them open, and then you can remove the stem with the majority of the seeds and membrane all in one piece. And then I just tap out the seeds and remove any remaining membrane that might be in the pepper. That way you're not wasting a bunch of the pepper, and you can do it pretty quickly and efficiently. Alright, now we will cut these bell peppers into the size pieces that we want. So I'm shooting for about this size here, maybe about a 1-inch square piece. As I said earlier, I did a much finer chop on a previous batch, and that's really nice for topping on sandwiches. We made a roast one day for a dinner, and I just placed that on top of the roast beef for a sandwich, and it was really good. But this more coarse relish that I'll be making today, this might even be good just on a tortilla chip or something. Almost like a sweet and sour salsa without the tomatoes. Alright, so I'll continue to chop these and then we'll move on to the next step. Alright, so the bell peppers are all prepped, so now we will chop 2 medium-sized onions. And I'll cut them into a similar shape and size as the bell pepper. next, I'll chop 2 to 3 jalapeno peppers. If you don't like it too hot, you can put less in or just remove the membranes and seeds from the jalapenos. These I'll do a little bit of a finer chop. Okay, and I'll just set these off to the side. Now we'll move on to making the brine for adding to the bell pepper relish. Okay, so for making the brine, we're going to add 3½ cups of vinegar. This is a white vinegar, 5% acidity. And to that, we're going to add 1½ cups of sugar, and 4 teaspoons of canning salt. So we'll mix this together. We'll bring this up to a boil so that the sugar can dissolve. And once this comes up to a boil, then we will add the bell pepper, onions, and jalapeno peppers that we prepped. So we'll let this cook and come up to a boil, and we'll come back for the next step. Okay, so the brine has come up to a boil, so we will add the vegetables that we prepped. So we have 4 quarts of chopped bell peppers and about 2 cups of chopped onions. So that ended up being about 8 rather large bell peppers and 2 medium-sized onions. So now we'll just mix these in here with the brine. And what we're going to do is bring this mixture back up to a simmer, and we'll cook this for another 20 minutes together. That'll give the bell peppers and onions a chance to soften a little bit and take on some of that flavor of the brine. Just want to mix this through a little bit here. Good, and then we'll add the 3 diced jalapenos and mix those through as well. We'll let these cook for about 20 minutes. Okay, so the peppers and onions have been simmering for about 20 minutes here. So we'll get them into the canning jars. I have some regular mouth pint jars here. We'll get the peppers and onions, get the brine. To each of these jars, we're looking for about a 1/2 inch headspace. So what I'm trying to do is take the peppers, the pepper mix, and the onions and try to get as much of that in without too much of the brine so that I have enough of the brine to fill all the jars. And now we'll wipe down the rims of the jars and the side threads a little bit just to help ensure a nice tight seal. We are able to get 6 pints out of this batch. And now we'll get the lid and the rings on. So place the lid, just finger tighten the ring. The ring will just hold the lid in place while it's processed. Then it can be removed once the lid seals in 12 to 24 hours after they're finished processing. Okay, so now we'll get these into the water bath canner. Okay, so we're at the water bath canner, so let's remove the lid, set it off to the side, check the temperature, it's good. We'll add the jars. So you want to make sure that when you place the jars into a water bath canner, that the jars are covered by 1 inch or 2 of water over the top of the lids. Just remember the jars will displace some of the water, so be mindful of that when you're filling your canner. So we will replace the lid here and set a timer for 15 minutes for processing time. And that all depends on your altitude. As I've mentioned in other water bath canning videos and pressure canning videos, your processing time for canning is all based on your altitude, and most canning cookbooks or manuals that come with your canner, It will have some sort of an altitude chart showing you how to make adjustments based on your altitude in feet of where you live. So here is the altitude chart from the Ball Blue Book, and the top is the water bath canning method or boiling water method. So it shows your altitude in feet of where you live, and then it shows how much to increase your processing time based on that. Just something to be mindful of whenever you're canning. Okay, so we'll let this process for 15 minutes, and then we'll come back for the next step of making this bell pepper relish. Alright, so the bell pepper relish has been processing for 15 minutes, so we will remove the lid, set it off to the side, and we'll let these sit in the canner for about 5 minutes. Then we'll move them over to the cooling and sealing area. Okay, so here we have the finished product of the bell pepper relish, and it has a bit more of a coarse chop. You can see the larger pieces of the onions and the green bell peppers, and some of these you can see the pieces of jalapeno pepper in there. So this is a nice sweet and sour with a slight spice relish, and this is very good on sandwiches. And this coarser chop I'm going to be using more for pasta salads and soups, and maybe even just for a dip with chips. If you're interested in other food preservation videos, you can check out my playlist on food preservation. I also have a number of other recipes you can see playlists of in the kitchen. If you are into gardening or home decor, organization, I also have some content on that as well. Well, I hope you enjoyed our time together in the kitchen, and I hope that you're having a wonderful day today. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. See you next time. Take care.